Greetings, test takers. This is Dean Tenney. I'm coming to you from my studio here in fabulous Las Vegas. We always try and do little carve outs whenever I'm teaching or tutoring or somebody brings up the subject area. I'm kind of thinking, hey, could I make a little carve out, a little shorter discussion of that that might be appropriate for more than one exam? And so discretionary orders certainly meet that criteria. And so that's the subject of today's short. This is for all the exams. This would be appropriate for. Okay, so what constitutes taking a discretionary or constitutes taking discretion on an order? You know, if I, as a registered representative, are going to make a decision about action, whether to buy or sell, asset, which security to buy or sell, or the amount, quantity, how many shares to buy or sell. If I'm going to make a decision about one, two, or all three of those A's, I need to have discretionary authority on the account. Now, I think a good way to proceed is maybe to think about those three A's as you go through the question and look and see if the three A's are present or not, right? So one way you might want to think about it is, are the three A's? Let me get a different color here. So one thing I might want to think about as I go through an order, are the three A's present? Now, be careful on an option, what would be a complete description of the security? Because that's what we mean by that, which security. Stock's pretty straightforward. Bonds and stocks have QSES, but in options, remember, we have the type. Well, let me get a different color there and a different color. So, you know, if I have discretionary authority on your account, and you say, hey, Dean, let's buy the Apple July calls. Apple July calls. So that, I say, which strike? That's an incomplete description. So if you be careful on option contracts, I'll just put this up here. Right. Or if you say, Dean, let's buy the Apple 145 calls. I say, which month? And so I would know when we're discussing options, what would be a complete description of that option contract would not be the type. The type is call or put. It would not be the class. That's the type plus the stock. That's incomplete. And so what we would need to avoid taking discretionary authority is the series. The series in an option contract is that most complete description. So if he says, Dean, buy whatever Apple 150 calls you think look good, I said, well, sorry, I don't have discretionary authority. Now, remember, if I do have discretionary authority, well, then it's not a problem. We'll do a couple examples of this. Time and price does not constitute taking discretion. So time and price is what we call getting good execution. And so that happens all the time. I can call my broker and say, buy 10,000 shares of GE today at whatever time and price you think looks good. That does not constitute taking discretion. That means it would not be a discretionary order. That happens all the time. In fact, I have an example of that. Let's look at an example of that. Here's a good example, I think, of the kind of question you have to be able to perform on all of the exams. Which of these instructions can best be described as discretionary? Let me clean up our slide. And so as a test taker, what we want to do is go through and see if the three A's are present, because if the three A's are present, it doesn't constitute taking discretion. So as we see here, let me get my highlighter out. So there's our sell, right? There's the action. We're looking for the three A's. There's the 500. There's the amount. And there's the asset, Facebook. The three A's are present. That is not a discretionary order, right? Time and price, remember, is getting, good execution. Happens all the time. Here, buy, there's our action. There's 100,000. There's our amount. There's the asset, Netflix. The three A's are present. It is not a discretionary order. Let's look at our next one. Sell, there's our action. There's our amount, and there's our asset. The three A's are present, not a discretionary order. Here we have the action, and we have the amount, but we don't have the stock. That a discretion is a discretionary order. Now, again, if I can take that order, if I have discretionary authority, but if not, I say, yeah, I don't have discretionary authority. Now, another issue that sometimes shows up on the test is when my heart's in the right spot. So, the guy tells me to sell 500 shares of Facebook. I do not have discretionary authority on the account. And I think, oh man, it's, dropping. I think I'll sell 250 now and 250 later. And that would be making a decision about amount. So be careful these questions where, your heart's in the right spot or you have good intentions, but you're still breaking the rule. You're still breaking the rule. So if we're going to have a discretionary account where we can make a decision about one, two, or all three of these A's, the customer has to agree that in written form. And that discretionary authority is granted to the representative. And the principal of the firm must approve the account for discretionary trading. And withdrawal of the discretionary authority has to be in written form. And the authority goes to the rep and not the firm, right? So that's important. Now, another issue that shows up on the test, let me see, I think I had an example here. What happened to my example of a market not held order? Oh, well, I'll just do it on the fly with you. Another example that shows up on the exam would be a market not held order where I give it to my floor broker. Again, the whole point of this is it does not require discretionary authority. This is more of a Series 7 question. I think very low probability on the other exams, but let me just go ahead and get out my annotation tool. And I would be prepared on a Series 7 to get tested on market not held order. Very testable on the Series 7 that the New York Stock Exchange can best be characterized as a auction order driven market. It's a double auction, meaning we have both buyers and sellers. And so the first test question on Series 7 is who would have the market not held? And it would be the floor broker. The floor broker, very testable, executes orders for clients of member firms. So if I'm the floor broker for Morgan Stanley, I'm responsible for doing that. Now, when I tell my floor broker to go ahead and do it, buy 10,000 GE, market not held, I'm giving my floor broker authority over time and price. And as we've said, that does not require discretionary authorities. There's another example of an order where the three A's are present. So market not held, Series 7, high probability. Rest of the exam is very low probability. But market not held means don't tell anybody in the auction you're holding my order and do it at whatever time and price you think looks good. And depending on who my, floor broker is will depend on why that's a good idea. All right, so boom. We did that. Oh, there we go. I did put it in there. I apologize. It looks like I have it here. It looks like my slide deck is a little messed up here. Let me clean up my slide deck. That might be part of my problem. So a market out order is given to the floor broker. I just told you that. Floor brokers execute those orders for customers of New York Stock Exchange member firms. And the floor broker makes that decision about time and price. And as we said, the trick is that does not constitute discretion because the three A's are present. Here's an example: buy 5,000 baby Berkshire, Berkshire at the market not held. And just again, please note the three A's are present. Buy, there's the action, 5,000, there's the amount, baby Berkshire is the asset. Okay, back to the documentation necessary for a discretionary account. And we said the customer has to agree in written form. The principal of the firm must approve the account. Now that's true of all accounts, but particularly discretionary accounts. So if I come to my principal and say, I have a discretionary account, he says, oh, no, you don't. You don't have a discretionary account until I approve it. Have you done any trades yet? What had I better say? No, right? It's guaranteed to the specific representative or of a specific account, not the broker-dealer. So I'm the one who's holding the discretionary authority as a registered representative on your account. I was watching a PBS special, had nothing to do with our business. They were following a rookie in the NFL. And they said, the guy said, do you have any advice for me as a rookie in the NFL? And out of nowhere, he said, don't give your broker a full power of attorney, full trading authorization. I said, oh man, say it ain't so. One of the teammates had retired, got his Series 7, and then went back to his teammates and said, listen, if anybody understands the financial problems indigenous to being a high income producing professional athlete, it's moi. And if you give me full trading authorization, not only will I be able to make decisions about action, asset, or amount, I'll also be able to withdraw money in some securities, take care of paying your, entourage for you. When they arrested the broker, asked him what happened, he said it was a hot sunny day. I'm joking. He said the money evaporated. So I guess it was a hot sunny day. All right. So the discretionary authority, we talked about that, has to be approved by principal. And then your principal doesn't like this because he has to supervise it frequently to make sure you're not abusing your discretionary authority. A trade where the customer does not provide or agree to one or more of the three A's, as we said, if one, two, or all threes are missing, it's a discretionary order. And if all three A's are present, it is not a discretionary order. We're not allowed to use discretionary authority for control relationships. So there, there's a control relationship between Bank of America, the issuer, and Merrill Lynch, the broker dealer. And so if I'm a Merrill Lynch broker and I call you, say, hey, have you been following what's going on with Bank of America? Some good things, wonderful things. I think we should pick up 10,000 shares of Bank of America. And you say, well, I don't know why you're bothering me, Dean. You have discretionary authority on my account. I said, well, I'm not allowed to use discretionary authority when there's a control relationship. And he says, okay, let's go ahead and do it. So that's going to be the order ticket, and it will say on the confirm, discretion not exercised, solicited. That would mean my idea. Even though I have discretionary authority, another version of this is you call me and it's your idea to do something, whether it's control relationship or not. And I would mark that ticket not solicited to distinguish that, again, I didn't solicit this and I didn't use discretion. This was the customer's idea. And needless to say, we're not supposed to mismark the position, right? Mismark the order ticket. I'm your manager. I call you and I said, really, these 10 people all had this idea at the same time? I find that hard to believe, particularly since you did in your account initially. We also can't use discretionary authority for direct participation programs, partnerships. That looks like I got a typo there. I should discretion not exercise, solicited. So I call you up and I say, hey, I've got this great partnership, direct participation program I think you should invest in. I think we need to make a $1 million asset allocation to this thing. And you say, well, Dean, again, I don't know why you're bothering me. I said, well, I'm not allowed to use my discretionary authority to put you into a direct participation program, which was illiquid and also typically has a much higher commission schedule. And, I'm not being facetious there. I mean, you put 100 grand into, a typical private placement, retail oriented private placement, the commission could be, $8, $9, $10,000 based on my payout. That to me as a broker could be, like $4,000. And if you put $100,000 into a mutual fund, at 4%, that's going to be a lot less of a commission, right? So they think it compromises me. Now, again, if you call me and you want to invest in some partnership in your account, that would be not solicited. So we can't use control relationship, discretionary authority for control relationships, and we can't use it for partnerships. We also get tested on the distinction between the full power of attorney. On the test, those are synonymous terms: full power of attorney, full trading authorization. And the distinction, the testable distinction, is that allows me not only to make investment decisions for you, but as a third party to withdraw monies and securities from your account. Wow. That's obviously a much bigger supervisory challenge. Now, the other test question there is, even if I have that authority, the checks are always cut in every account, not only this one, to the title of the account. So however that account, checks are cut to however the account is done. And then limited power of attorney means I can only make investment decisions. I can only trade your account. I can't actually withdraw monies and securities, as we've said. And the point of this little carve out is I can make decisions about action, asset, and amount. Now, another testable distinction is durable power of attorney versus not durable power of attorney. If I have a durable power of attorney, it survives your legal incapacitation. In other words, if you're declared legally incompetent to handle your affairs, I still have a power of attorney and can still be making these decisions for you. And then very testable to know that all powers of attorney cease upon a customer's death. And every once in a while, you'll see a question where, again, it sounds like it might be okay, where, somebody has died and, you're trying, your heart's in the right spot. And so you're going to make some decisions and use your discretionary authority. Absolutely. not. Okay, well, I hope you found that carve out helpful, and we'll post this up for you. And I hope you are staying dedicated, disciplined, and organized in your study efforts. If you have any ideas for carve outs like these that are relevant to perhaps your exam and think might be relevant to other exams, or for longer narrative lectures, just send them my way, and I'd be more than happy to try and get a video up for you. Okay, see you next time. Bye-bye.